And hello, everyone. Welcome. And I'm live here from Bendigo, Australia, and I'd like to acknowledge the traditional people, owners, the first people of the land, the Dja Dja Wurrung, and their elders, past, present, and future. I recognise that their struggle, part of an is part of a struggle against imperialism, and it's part of our struggle as well. So we must be, and they're part of a broader class struggle against imperialism. And it's most importantly that we are all united as one against a common foe. Well, I wanted to actually give a quick response to the G7. Now, this is normally not something I usually talk about. However, I think it's worthwhile to have a quick mention from our point of view here in Australia. Now, obviously, there was the G7 of nations just recently, happened over the weekend, in the last few days. There was a lot of pomp and ceremony around it. We even had our head of state, the Queen, obviously gone completely senile now. Not really entirely her fault. Obviously, she did lose her husband about 2 or 3 months ago. But we have to understand, having someone there in their mid to late 90s give them a sword, flailing it around in the air everywhere, nearly decapitating Camilla. I believe it is Camilla. Nearly nearly lobbed her head off, and then actually went to slice a cake with it. We're using the wrong side of the sword. I think it had a lot of more questions. Really, just kicked things off for the whole event, and really it just turned into a complete farce after that. Now we had the world's number one global village idiot, our Prime Minister Scott Morrison, attend. He just wanted to go over and big note himself and act like a complete idiot, where the whole world just keep treating him in complete contempt. Now, the fact is, he was trying to plead the case that he's representing Australian interests, that is, so-called big coal, which is owned by the big multinationals, to pursue that we shouldn't do anything about climate change, which, besides with COVID-19, which has been on the top of everyone's lips for the last 18 months, understandably so, the fact is climate change hasn't gone away either. And the fact is he's gone over there actually explaining Australia doesn't want to do anything about it at all. And we continue down the old path of the fossil fuel sector, basically putting Australia back as an economic backwater even further, where we should be actually on the front foot, talking about renewable energy, renewable sources, and the proper transition period for everybody from the fossil fuel sector into the new energy sector, and talking about other forms of energy modes. It's obviously cleaner than using oil, gas, and coal. But no, he decided to big note himself, act like a complete twat, and which he can't help himself do, and obviously just came up with nonsense and no sense, which made no sense in general, and obviously made our country look like complete idiots on a worldwide scale, even further. Mind you, just keep in mind that he also too, whoever forms government here doesn't really do anything to shape the US foreign policy, which is basically the US business plan, and at least trying to form some form of independent course and have peaceful relations with countries, especially such as the likes of China. Now, which actually I wanted to actually raise this little point that was I believe was discussed quite extensively throughout the whole G7. Besides all the pomp and ceremony, I've got another 7 complete nut jobs. I'll probably go Angela Merkel's probably the most better of probably all of them. I don't say I like her, but quite frankly, they'll complete 7 nut jobs. I mean, from Justin Trudeau, who's trying to look like some sort of rock star, to Joe Biden, who, when he was leading up to running against Trump, couldn't even decipher between his sister and his wife. I won't degenerate the discussion earlier. I'll leave that to your own wild imagination, but just shows you the calibre of some of these people. Boris Johnson, Christ, where do they get him from? And even the French President Macron, who's basically opening the doorway to fascism in France, doing a great, splendid job there doing that and making sure, all working class people and poor people are going to suffer a lot more in that country. And mind you, anyone else has sort of jump on board the whole G7 debacle. Now, China, as once again was discussed about, and they're all going, whoa, oh no, this one belt, one road initiative, the whole world's turning away from us. Well, gee, I wonder why. Well, what do you expect? You want to destroy other developing nations, destroy their infrastructure, invade them. You want to keep their people subjected to poverty and destruction and destroy their natural environment and just extract as much wealth from them as possible. So to keep the pockets of a few multinationals wealthy, well, what do you expect when they come along with something like the One Belt, One Road initiative? China comes along, win-win. We'll help you develop, no debts, because we believe your economy, a healthy economy is a good economy, and it's good for your well-being and health as well, physically and mentally and emotionally, and that's what they've been doing, and actually developing further. So, and obviously the European nations, notably the G7, along with Canada and America, and of course their little slave Australia, little lapdog goes on. Oh yes, we must do something to counter it. So they're coming up with this great whiz-bang idea to counter this whole thing. What is it exactly? Well, the fact is, all basically is they're going to try and use private capital. I'll repeat that again. This is how generally this gets better. They're going to use private capital to try and build an alternative to this One Belt, One Road initiative. Yes, folks, that's it. But guess what the multinationals are going to say? Yes, we may give a little bit, but it'll be only certain dribs and drabs. The main people who are going to be paying for all this, be us again. Yes, that's right. Don't expect any of the multinationals to pay for this at all. Great idea. Yes, we should have an alternative to it. But guess what will happen? Be paying out, once again, working people's pockets again to pay for all this. And for what? For some little unsavoury, nasty little project somewhere else where basically it all comes with strings attached, obviously. We'll have to have a few coups overseas and put a nasty little government, little fascist little dictator in, oppress its population, make sure people just do some summary executions, keep people politically poor. It basically is, once again, the whole neoliberal agenda, just marketed, repackaged in another way. In fact, you can put hundreds and thousands on a turd, but it's still a frigging turd at the end of the day. And that's what basically they're trying to sell us, the whole thing, the third world. Oh, sorry, I'll rephrase that, the developing world. Now, the fact is, what will the developing world do? Well, basically, most of them probably will just look at that package. A few of them will probably maybe slightly consider jumping on it, but most of them will just be going, no, thank you very much, and looking towards China once again. Basically, what they're trying to do is the G7, all they're trying to do is trying to how they're going to keep continuing their influence and keep continuing on their road of destruction everywhere, which is obviously backfiring. NATO's crap. Let's face it. The European nations not bending much in military compared to the US, so NATO's pretty much shot to pieces. The US military is so spread far and wide, it's stuffed. They've got aircraft carriers, can't even sell them, can't even go half the time. The airplanes they're trying to sell, the F-35, so let's face it, they're heaps of shit. Even pilots say it's like flying a piano. I mean, and the whole thing they're just selling around why military expenditure is complete garbage. So, do you honestly think a developing nation's going to look at them as some in awe and wonder and think, do we really want to go down that path? I don't think so. I think it's actually, you could just see the tide is turning very fast against a lot of the Western European powers, the US and Canada, even more so now. Yes, and unfortunately for us in Australia, we are still going to we're still going to suffer accordingly. Now, all this anti-China bashing, etc., is not going to get us anywhere. We need to start standing on our own 2 feet, start getting controls of matters here, take things in our own matters here, and start developing our own independent course as well, and have developing peaceful cooperation with everybody in the immediate region as well, instead of actually listening to Washington, Wall Street, London, Tokyo, Paris, Munich, wherever the fuck the capital of Germany is these days, or anywhere else. So, quite frankly, we need to start doing things ourselves. And look, there's nothing wrong with having a peaceful cooperation with China. Why the fucking hell do we want to go up against them for? We're not going to lose anyway if we try to. So we've got nothing to lose but decide to take matters in our own hand and start developing our own course, and develop our own system here, and develop our own socialism with Australian characteristics, and rebuild this country and mobilise the people once again, rebuild our industries, and actually develop a standard of living that we've all been aspiring for so long, and live peacefully within our immediate region as well. That's all we're requiring for. We've got a lot of things to do to fix this country. Environment's a huge, big issue. We'll land degradation, the whole lot. And the last thing we want to be doing is looking at is be involved in an escalating situation with other foreign powers and that. And I think with about time we need to actually have a look at ourselves once again. Well, look, I wanted to leave it at that. Just want to make a couple of announcements. Should the Centre of Political Innovation be international? Certainly, Ace Frank. Certainly, it is actually quite international. We've actually started something off here, myself and another comrade of mine, actually a couple of comrades. We're doing something very similar here, and we have a study class this Thursday at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So if you're over in Perth, that's 5 p.m. your time over there. It's called We Are the Builders Australia. We're actually studying out of this book. We Are the Builders, the Centre of Political Innovation Educational Manual from Caleb Maupin. Just Google it. You can order it from there, or actually send Caleb Maupin an email. It's basically calebmaupin@gmail.com, and he'll certainly arrange to have a copy sent to you. And we will be studying, actually, just on that, making that announcement. It will be the introduction to the city builders and vandals in our age. And then sub-chapter 1.1.1, the legacy of Gilgamesh, Confucius, and Socrates. So that's got questions there. If you do wish to be involved in this, send me a quick message via Facebook Messenger. You'll see my name's just David Fox. It's nothing fancy. Got my picture there. And just send me there. Or if you want to send a comment, I will try and find it. See how we'll somehow try and get in touch with you somehow. So I want to leave it at that. We will be, as I said, once again, going live for Australian audiences, 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. I do apologise to our US comrades who might be very early in the morning for them, 5 a.m. But look, we'll try and cater for them one day, but also those who in Europe tend to watch this. Might be a little bit later in the day for you guys. You can watch it. The other thing I want to announce, I was on a break over the weekend. We had our long weekend. I wasn't celebrating the Queen's birthday by any means. I just wanted to get away. Me and my partner. It was great. Got out of here. Needed to clear my mind for a bit. And I've got a roster day off today, so I'm just doing some shits and bits around the place. So just want to announce I will be back next week joining with Dus James, 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, and that'll 8 p.m. Eastern US time, or US Eastern Time, led to believe. So we'll be that. We'll be resuming our normal working class revolt. So I'm looking forward to seeing you then on Thursday night and our Sunday morning here. So that's all I've got to throw into that. And just to wind this all up, summarise it all. Yes, our Prime Minister is a complete twat. Thank you, everyone.